Kia ora and welcome to our New Zealand Warriors crossover with the Pacific Championships, but we've also got a little deep dive into the system coming up at the end of this video. We had a bit of news over the last day or so. Luke Metcalf has extended his time with the Warriors, but that's got nothing to do with it next year. So if you're worried about the future, 2027 and 2028, like cool stuff, nice work. We're worried about the immediate NRL season coming up, 2026. Luke Metcalf was already under contract. He's got the deal done with the Warriors. Positive reflections on everyone involved. Luke Metcalf wants to stay at the Warriors. Warriors must be doing a good job there. Obviously, the Warriors were pretty keen to re-sign Luke Metcalf. But we've also got Chanel Harris-Tavita once again being on the bench for Samoa, and that is a Samoan team that has lost 6 games in a row. Chanel Harris-Tavita hasn't played in all of those losses because he did have his sabbatical for a year. I think that was the 2023 season. So Chanel Harris-Tavita wasn't involved in all 6 losses in a row for Samoa, and I still find that like a crazy situation given how, let's say, a lot of the media talk about Samoa. The Samoan fans are obviously going to love their team. I'm sure there's many Samoan fans who either they ride or die with Samoa, or they're so ride or die with Samoa that they're not happy with selections. They're not happy with how the team has been playing. And as I'm looking here, per Rugby League Project, very solid website for rugby league informations, because the NRL does a pretty crap job at laying all this stuff out for rugby league fans. 6 losses in a row for Samoa. They haven't scored over 20 points in any of those games. So that's a weird situation, and what I'm saying here is like Samoan fans, they're going to be all good with the team. They might have a few issues, but the media, especially the Australian media, but you're seeing the headlines in New Zealand, they talk about Samoa like they are one of the best rugby league teams in the world. Sure, they've got some really good players, but there's not much attention on the fact that Samoa has lost 6 games in a row, and I'm pretty sure the coach Ben Gardner started after the World Cup, so he hasn't won a game as Samoan coach. All right, that's just the facts. In these games as well, Samoa have conceded over 20 points in all of them, and they've conceded over 30 points in 5 of the 6 consecutive losses. So we'll see how Samoa goes as a team against Tonga this weekend. But we're going to put the spotlight on the Warriors wrinkles, and Harris-Tavita is again in that utility spot, which is a fascinating well, not a development, because that's like basically his position for Samoa, but we've also had news over the last 24 hours that Te Maire Martin is now in the Kiwi squad. He has been called up with Zach Docker-Clay. Zach Docker-Clay, I think he's from New Plymouth. He's a Bell Block junior. Kind of a sneaky player from Aotearoa, because he was a really good junior, and then he's been around a few teams throughout his NRL career, but he has held down NRL opportunities. I think he had a stint in England. But yeah, so those two are in the Kiwi squad now, and unless there's an injury in the halves, because we're still going to have Kieran Foran and Dylan Brown in the halves moving forward, I believe, unless there's an injury in the halves, Te Maire Martin will probably go to a bench position, because Jeremy Marshall-King is one of the players out injured, Ronaldo Mulitalo as well. And I would suspect that Sebastian Chris, fantastic year with the Raiders, he'll come into the back line probably on the wing. Cool stuff. But 2 of the halves contenders for the Warriors are going to be bench utilities in the Pacific Championships, assuming that Te Maire Martin is selected for the Kiwis in that position. And it's just a weird old situation for the Warriors where I don't like, really like Harris-Tavita as a number 6. I think his form and the form of the whole team for the Warriors, but especially Wade Egan in the first half of the season, that was why I'm like, yeah, Luke Metcalf's a good halfback, but I don't know. I found it, what's the best way of saying this? I found it a bit ludicrous to say the Warriors were only winning because Luke Metcalf was the best player by a significant margin. No. In the first half of the season, Wade Egan was playing the best footy of his career. Chanel Harris-Tavita was playing the best footy of his career in the halves. And the Warriors team were doing really good stuff as well, like the forward pack. Every aspect of the Warriors was humming. And so I don't want to put that all on Luke Metcalf. I was very impressed with Harris-Tavita's season, especially his try assist numbers were crazy. But he's also a very good utility player because he's a big body. He can cover a bit of small forward. He can play a bit of hooker. He's just a natural baller. And I actually think if we're just selecting the best Warriors team, I think Harris-Tavita's a better number 14 than Te Maire Martin. I think Te Maire Martin might be a better number 6 than Harris-Tavita. But Coach Andrew Webster has steadily gone with Harris-Tavita number 6, Metcalf number 7, and Te Maire Martin number 14. Which is going to be very confusing and interesting now that we've got a fairly strong sample of Sam Healey being a dynamic impact option off the bench. So who's your best number 14? Assuming Harris-Tavita is your number 6, is it Te Maire Martin? Is it Sam Healey? I don't know, but that right now we've got Harris-Tavita playing 14 for Samoa, and we might have Te Maire Martin playing number 14 for the Kiwis. That is, it's pretty like confusing, and there's a lot of opinion involved here. Like there's kind of less facts and more opinions in this situation, which is all good because I don't think there's necessarily a clear cut. This is the best halves combination and the bench rotation that is influenced by the halves combination. I don't think there is a clear cut best combo delivered just yet. So it's all opinion based, but the point here that I want to drill down on is that there's a core 4. Luke Metcalf, Harris-Tavita, Te Maire Martin, Tana Boyd. I was thinking that all 4 of those dudes have played 50 plus NRL games, but when I checked a few hours ago, Luke Metcalf was the only one who hadn't played 50 NRL games. So, and he, like, of those 4, he is the best half based on what we saw last season. But he's played the fewest NRL games, right? And he's not playing International Rugby League right now. So we've got a situation where the best of those 4 halves has played the fewest NRL games, isn't playing International Rugby League. We've got 2 of them who are playing one of them's definitely playing as a bench utility in the Pacific Championships. Another one, Te Maire Martin, may be a bench utility in the Pacific Championships. And in theory, the worst of those 4 halves, Tana Boyd, what did he do to finish his year? He was tremendous in New South Wales Cup final and the State Championship final. So the cool thing about this situation is we can have all different opinions about what the best combination is, who the best half is, how important they are to the team, all these other things. But to be a good NRL team, you need halves depth. And you need reliable players in the halves. You don't want to be, you get an injury, you get a suspension, then you are integrating a younger half into the NRL, which is a very difficult job to do. Very few teams win with a young half playing a major role. Obviously, there are exceptions to that. But a consistency over a long NRL season, playing finals footy, the Warriors need reliable halves depth, and there's 4 halves options in their squad right now who can cover those positions. I don't think I've ever experienced that level of halves depth in my time following the Warriors closely. As I said, you've probably got like maybe a really good half, a solid half, then a youngster. You might have a couple mediocre halves and a really impressive youngster on the rise. You might have a super experienced half partnered with a young half. Then you've got an experienced dude behind them. I've never experienced 4 capable NRL halves in the same squad for the Warriors. And I think that is one of their pillars, one of their foundation elements building into next season. And depending what's happening there, you might have Jet Cleary and Luke Hansen as your New South Wales Cup halves combination. If it's not one of them, we'll probably get Tana Boyd, Luke Hansen once again, with Jet Cleary just slowly cooking towards more New South Wales Cup footy. And if you add Jet Cleary and Luke Hansen, there's 6 halves. If we think about, well, then we got Jack Thompson, then you got 7 halves. Okay, we want to throw in Harry Inch. If he's going to be a half for the Warriors, you got 8 halves. And that doesn't include other dudes like Maui Winatana Patalaseo or other solid halves on the rise as well. So I'm fairly impressed and I'm feeling good about the halves depth at the Warriors. And obviously, when you have an injury, when you have a suspension, you are moving down whatever your depth chart is. Andrew Webster's moving down his depth chart. Your thoughts and your opinions will be based around about what your depth chart is. So there is going to be like a drop off. Like if you go from your starting half, especially in the halves, this is a very important position in the NRL. If you go from your best halves to your second best halves, there will be a drop off. That's understandable. But as far as absorbing those absences, absorbing injuries and suspensions over the course of an NRL season, the Warriors are in a very strong position with 4 NRL halves, 3 of whom have played 50 plus NRL games, and the only dude there, Luke Metcalf, I mean, he was in the Dally M conversation last year, and he hasn't played 50 NRL games. So that is a very strong halves position for the Warriors. And I was thinking deeply about the New South Wales Cup team, because if you haven't seen it, we do have Caelys Putoko from Tokoroa playing for the Cook Islands, and he is again named in the Cook Islands team to play against Papua New Guinea. He is named in the number 6 jersey alongside his Tokoroa brethren, Cassius Cowley, who was also, he started with the Warriors, I think, a few years ago. But the game they played last week, they had a big loss against Fiji. It was actually Eason Masters who went into the halves with Cowley, and Caelys Putoko played at fullback, and then he had a stint on the wing. That is the Putoko package. This season in Jersey Flegg, Putoko played fullback. He played halves. He played centre. He made his New South Wales Cup debut, scored 2 tries at centre. And I expect Caelys Putoko to just play the whole year, next year, 2026, in New South Wales Cup. And this overlaps, like when you think about who are the players who are going to step up to regular New South Wales Cup roles, it overlaps nicely with all the departures we've got in the New South Wales Cup team. So you can kind of sense that the Warriors squad management, Andrew McFadden mainly, with a bit of Webster maybe, they have been preparing for this season, I reckon. They went full strength with their New South Wales Cup team in the finals to win those competitions, which they should have done. Like you got to win some shit, you know. We're here to win games of rugby league. But during the season, a lot of the New South Wales Cup teams each week for the Warriors, half of them were under 21s. they sharpen that to a winning team, or a dominant, experienced type of team for the finals. A lot of those players are now moving on, and we have a group of players that I was kind of surprised at how big this group of players will be, assuming they are staying at the Warriors. We don't know that. This is all speculation at this time of year. But the Warriors are well prepared and well stocked to fill their New South Wales Cup team with more youngsters. We've obviously got the group of players who have already had really solid in our New South Wales Cup roles, and these dudes are behind Iriadamia Toiava. So Leatawa, Vaimonga, Halasima, Laban, Stowers, Smith, Toiava, they are younger players who have moved up to NRL tiers. New South Wales Cup, we have Caelys Putoko, Sio Kelly, Makai Tafua, Jason Salalilo, Luke Hansen. All of them played a lot of New South Wales Cup footy this year, and they're all under 21s. So they're going to be in the New South Wales Cup team. Jet Cleary got a few opportunities later in the season, so he'll be definitely in that New South Wales Cup group. And yeah, depending on what the NRL halves are doing, I think we will see more of that combination, Luke Hansen and Jet Cleary, in New South Wales Cup, assuming Luke Hansen stays with the Warriors. Behind CO Kelly in the outside backs, I think the three main dudes moving up to New South Wales Cup will be Caelys Putoko and CO Kelly, and here we go, all of them. Motu Pasikala, Brandon Norris. All four of those dudes have played centre and wing in the New Zealand Warriors system. Sio Kelly, Putoko and Pasikala have also played fullback in the Warriors system. Whatever grade it is, I've seen them play fullback. They've all played centre. Brandon Norris was flip-flopping between centre and wing all season, doing an excellent job. Mentioned Caelys Putoko's versatility. And Pasikala, I think they just slowed his development down. So if he is staying at the Warriors, I think he will benefit greatly from this year, where he seemed to be battling injury. But I think the Warriors management also just chilled him out on his development path, because he went straight into New South Wales Cup 2024, I think it was. And maybe they were just like, yo, let's just help you churn out games in under 21s when you're fit and healthy, and then we'll build you back up into New South Wales Cup, because there are going to be more spots and you can get a consistent run in New South Wales Cup. So you got four outside backs right there. Obviously, Leatawa, one of Leatawa or Rocco Berry will probably start the year in New South Wales Cup. But yeah, you got four dudes, all really good players, Kelly, Putoko, Pasikala and Norris, who I'm going to be watching out for as regular New South Wales Cup players. Hooker, Samuel Healy, he will be pushing for NRL selection every week. And if he's pushing for NRL selection, you've still got Makai Tafua and Jacob Auloa, who were both under 21s this year. And I think they can share the dummy half duties. If Healy's moving up to NRL, they can share those duties in New South Wales Cup. I think Auloa might have another year of under 21s available to him. And I think between Jet Cleary, Luke Hansen, Jack Thompson, and then maybe Harry Inch as well, just wait and see what Harry Inch does. But Jet Cleary, Luke Hansen, Harry Inch, and Jack Thompson, you got four, by the sounds of it, they're all really good halves. They will be competing with each other. Jet Cleary, Luke Hansen, Jet Cleary, maybe Jack Thompson, and Harry Inch in that order. Just because we don't know what Harry Inch is going to do in rugby league yet. But there might be a situation where we got Luke Hansen, Jet Cleary in New South Wales Cup, Jack Thompson, Harry Inch in under 21s, and I'm happy with that, right? Like, I'm happy with all these levels of depth. I'm actually smiling. I've actually got a bit of a giggle on. That's how chuffed I am with the depth in the Warriors system. Forwards. Caelys Putoko is ready to make his NRL debut next year, I believe. Very similar player to Te Maire Martin. Don't expect these dudes to be centers, right? Like they are, Putoko, Te Maire Martin, they can play center. Toiava played centre in a trial game. Putoko has covered centre at the New South Wales Cup level, but we've seen Te Maire Martin, his NRL footy and all of his New South Wales Cup footy this year was basically edge forward. NRL, I think he can be a very good middle edge player, and I think that's more of what Putoko is going to do. If he does play in the middle, he will be considered a small forward because he's not a big bopper by any standard, but he is very fast, very powerful, and I would lean against edge forwards being developed as centers. I think the Warriors are well stocked for centers anyway, but it's a specific position with unique skills. You need to have grown up playing center, I believe, and the Warriors are well covered in center. Leotawa, Berry, Pompey, Putoko, Pasikala, Norris, Seo Kelly. They're all centers, so I don't see why we'd need to be rushing Putoko to become a center, but he's a very good and fast is the main thing with Putoko. He's a fast forward, and that's what you want. But you've got him and Jason Salalilo. They're the next up forwards trying to move up to New South Wales, to NRL from New South Wales Cup. They will be regulars in New South Wales Cup next year. They'll be, top 17 straight away round one because they were top 17 for most of this year in New South Wales Cup. Then we have, so another example of the centre edge crossover is Patrick Moimoi. So Patrick Moimoi, I think he played New South Wales Cup maybe 2023 as a centre. He was in and out of under 21s in New South Wales Cup injuries. I think he had a suspension at some point as well. But he has moved from centre to edge forward. So we're not seeing a lot of dudes move from edge forward to centre. Yes, you can be Kurt Capewell and cover it in an emergency. But we're not seeing the development pathway of edge forwards becoming centres. And in Patrick Moimoi, we've got an example of the opposite. We're seeing Patrick Moimoi move from centre to edge forward, and I think Patrick Moimoi is going to play a lot of New South Wales Cup next year if he is still sticking around with the Warriors. All these dudes are under 21s once again. Harry Durbin, middle forward. Rodney Tuipulotu, Tuipulotu Vea, middle forward. Etuati Fukafuka, small forward who can cover a little bit of hooker, but I think he's just being developed as a Aaron Clark, Keilani going type of forward. And if we're thinking about New South Wales Cup team replacing Keilani going, Etuati Fukafuka is the same player. From rugby union, smaller body, powerful, fast, robust. He's the next in line in that position. Alvin Chong Ni is a edge forward who did step up to make his New South Wales Cup debut this year, and also another player I am interested in is Presley Siomanu Tingafua. Not sure about his status with the Warriors, but he's an aggressive middle forward who can cover a bit of edge forward as well. So, once again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 forwards who I think they've all played New South Wales Cup already. The only one I'm not sure about right now is Presley Alvis. I think he has played New South Wales Cup. But those dudes, 6 forwards from the under-21s team, I think they're all going to play a lot of New South Wales Cup this next season. And then we've got another group of forwards, Paya Sikavea. He will probably start the year in under-21s, considering he was under-19s early this year. I can see him quickly progressing into New South Wales Cup. Then we've got a couple of the big boppers, Mikaeli Ilau, Tepatasi Laumali'i, and Amosi Ravosai, who are all large bodies through the middle who might step up to New South Wales Cup as well. And then we've got a couple deep cuts. Desmond Laban, younger brother of Jacob Laban, he got a fair amount of under 21 footy this year covering edge forward. And if he's from the Laban Fano pipeline and he is playing up a few grades, because I think he was SG Ball to start this year, then he finished the year getting a lot of under 21s game time. It's easy to see how the Warriors view his talent. And of course, Bishop Neal. Bishop Neal he's only played under 17s for the Warriors. And I think he might start next season in under 19s, do a bit of that, settle into the grind. Then I expect him to play under 21s for the Warriors. And there's a chance we see Bishop Neal make his New South Wales Cup debut next season. Warriors will never rush one of these players, right? Like even Halasima skipped under 21s, but he started in under 19s, then he went to New South Wales Cup. So the Warriors don't necessarily, they might skip a few steps because some of these dudes are really freaky talented, but Neal, he'll start in under 19s or he will start in under 21s before moving to New South Wales Cup. And of course, the mystery man, Lennox Tuiloma, is another one to watch out for. He played under 17s in the first year of that championship, so I think that was 2024. Not sure on his exact age, so he might be under 19s, but I'm curious to see if Tuiloma from Christchurch, if he just goes straight into under 21s, and then we'll be looking at a combination of Siku Vea and Lennox Tuiloma, who are two very impressive fast forwards, powerful, skillful. Those dudes are going to be causing chaos if they do play under 21s and New South Wales Cup. A couple other interesting lads in this equation. Joseph Ratcliffe, lively fullback. Shans Nickel Clockstar, Taintua Piki, then Joseph Ratcliffe, who is from Palmerston North. He played under 19s and under 21s this year. So I can see a situation where Ratcliffe starts next season in under 21s, but if he continues his development and makes a few leaps with his development this summer, I would be keeping an eye on Joseph Ratcliffe to get a New South Wales Cup debut next year. Talon Egan is also in the Warriors system. He moved over from Australia a few years ago. Obviously, younger brother of Wade Egan. Now again, this is the thing about the Warriors. Talon Egan moved to Aotearoa and he was getting a lot of game time. Well, he wasn't getting game time because he was 18th man for a lot of games for the under 21s. So it's not like Talon Egan came to the Warriors and they just put him in every single starting position just because your name's Egan and you're Wade's younger brother and we got you over from Australia. No, Talon Egan has been 18th man. He's played on the wing, he's played in the halves, he's played fullback, which is an indicator of what he's capable as a rugby league player, and also how invested he is in the Warriors system. Not sure about his status with the Warriors right now, but he is another very versatile, classy outside back who can play in the halves as well. He's got a similar, doesn't have the center package of Putoko, but Putoko played fullback, wing, and number 6. Egan can play fullback, wing, number 6, number 7, and I am curious to see if he's going to be in that under 21s mix next season, and then whether he can push for New South Wales Cup selection. And in the hooker production line, we do know the Warriors signed Braylon Marsh. They're on the signing spree of sons of mums and dads. And we'll see what Braylon Marsh does. I think he was signed to start in under 19s SG Ball. I should have had that announcement pulled up already. Here we go. Braylon Marsh. He is 18 years old, so he'll be available for under 19s next season. And I expect that's where he'll probably start the year, because the Warriors also have another very interesting dummy half prospect in Jericho Felipe Talasau, who may have to make a move because he's stuck behind Makaya Tafua, Jacob Auloa, and the Warriors have just signed Braylon Marsh. So I don't know what Felipe Talasau is going to do with the Warriors moving forward, but I was very impressed with him playing for the under-21s this year. He played a bit of small forward. Sometimes the under-21s team would have Makaya Tafua at hooker, Etuati Fukafuka and Felipe Talasau in the same team. And if it wasn't that combination, it was Makaya Tafua and Jacob Auloa and Etuati Fukafuka. Right? So there is one of those dudes has to play dummy half, but then the other two either, because Tafua is playing most of the games at that level, most of the 80 minutes at that level. So the other dudes are playing in the forward pack. So now we're seeing how that small forward skill set is being developed at the Warriors. To sum it up, I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 15 players who are under 21s they were under 21 eligible for the Warriors this year, who I think are capable of filling up the New South Wales Cup spots next year. And we know the Warriors have a lot of players moving on from their New South Wales Cup team, so there will be spots up for grabs. And then we also have to factor in the mystery players. Who is going to be the Keilani going? The Paul Roach, the Setutu, these players who just into the New South Wales Cup group without much fuss, kind of out of nowhere, and get the opportunity. I will be very interested in who are the mystery players entering the New South Wales Cup group. Obviously, we know the Warriors have signed a few players for their NRL squad who will probably start the year in New South Wales Cup as well. But I think this summer will be very interesting in learning more about how the Warriors will fill their New South Wales Cup team after a few departures. And as I said, I've got at least 15 players who are under 21s in 2025 who are very realistic possibilities to just take over that New South Wales Cup team. And that doesn't include Leotaua, Vaimonga, Halasima, Laban, Irioromir Toiava, Tanistawa Smith, and that group. So I think as we sit right now, very healthy spot for the Warriors to be in. And we've got that crossover of the New South Wales Cup squad refresh. And at the same time, we got 4 halves who are all fairly experienced at the NRL level, and they must be hungry to go a bit better than they did last year. So big up to you. Enjoy the Pacific Championships. Enjoy your meditations and ponderings about the Warriors. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to each other. Big up, Churcher, Cowabunga, Boom Shakalaka.